In the dead of night, with the wind howling and shadows dancing menacingly, an unsettling silence fell over the abandoned forest. Every rustle of leaves and distant crack of a branch set hearts racing as the unknown crept closer. What danger lurks just beyond the flickering light of your campfire? The atmosphere is thick with tension, and every moment feels like a breath held in anticipation of an imminent threat. Deep within the untamed wilds of the Olympic Peninsula, where towering cedars and misty mountains guard ancient secrets, Connor Reynolds patrolled his familiar territory as a seasoned park ranger. The air was heavy with the scent of pine and damp earth, and a hushed calm reigned over the rugged landscape. Yet on this particular day, a sound shattered the stillness, a piercing, desperate cry that echoed through the dense forest, sending shivers down his spine. Connor paused, his instincts on high alert as he strained to decipher the source of the haunting noise. It was unlike any call he'd heard before. It carried the weight of agony and despair, a plea that tugged at his deeply rooted sense of duty. Compelled by a mix of concern and an inner drive to help, he left the safety of his patrol route and ventured into the thick undergrowth. Every step carried him further into a realm where nature's beauty intertwined with hidden dangers. After navigating through a maze of ancient ferns and moss-draped logs, Connor reached a small clearing bathed in dappled sunlight. There, before his eyes, lay a scene that arrested his breath, a massive grizzly bear, its proud form marred by cruel human interference. The bear's head was ensnared in a noose, while its hind legs were painfully tangled in razor-sharp barbed wire. Each subtle movement from the injured animal elicited a low, pained groan that resonated with the raw agony of being trapped and betrayed. For a fleeting moment, Connor's training and caution battled against a surge of empathy. Though he knew that approaching a distressed bear was fraught with peril, the sight of those pained eyes and the desperate sounds of suffering compelled him to act. With measured determination, he lowered his firearm, choosing to disarm himself as a gesture of peace. His empty hands and calm demeanor were his only offerings, a silent promise that he meant no harm. Slowly, with every heartbeat echoing in his ears, Connor inched closer to the beleaguered bear. The creature, its fur matted with dirt and the scars of abuse, shifted its gaze between the approaching man and the looming threat of continued pain. "I'm here to help," Connor murmured softly, his voice steady yet filled with profound compassion. The bear's reaction was a mixture of startled resistance and a weary surrender. It lashed out once in a desperate bid for self-preservation, but the gesture was less about aggression and more a manifestation of its anguish. Connor knelt beside the bear with a tenderness that belied the inherent dangers of such proximity. Carefully, he assessed the noose choking the animal's head and the barbed wire cutting into its flesh. Every cut he made with his trusty knife, every gentle tug to free the bear's leg, was done with painstaking care and a fervent hope that his actions might mend not only the physical wounds but also soothe the animal's tormented soul. In that quiet clearing, beneath the ancient watch of the Olympic forests, a silent pact was formed between man and beast, a promise of compassion in a world that had so often turned a blind eye to suffering. With the promise of a fresh start echoing in his heart, Connor Reynolds carefully continued his mission to relieve the suffering of the injured bear. After painstakingly cutting away the noose and disentangling the barbed wire from the animal's battered leg, he knelt for a moment, letting the gravity of the situation sink in. The bear, its deep, pained eyes now meeting his with a blend of relief and wary trust, gave a low, resigned groan. In that silent exchange, a bond was forged, a mutual recognition of vulnerability and the hope for renewal. Knowing that the wild alone could not mend the bear's wounds, Connor gently coaxed the creature to stand. With great effort and tender guidance, he supported its weight as the bear stumbled forward, each step a laborious journey toward freedom. Determined to ensure that the bear would receive the care it desperately needed, Connor summoned his radio and called in the emergency response team from Evergreen Wildlife Rehabilitation Center, a renowned sanctuary nestled deep in the heart of the Olympic Peninsula. The drive to the center was a tense yet hopeful voyage through misty trails and dense forests. Connor's old pickup truck rumbled steadily along narrow mountain roads as he kept a constant, protective eye on the bear resting in a makeshift stretcher he'd fashioned with care. Every bump in the road, every whisper of the wind against the truck's window, reminded him of the fragile line between rescue and peril. Despite the inherent dangers, Connor's resolve never wavered, his compassion drove him forward, even as the storm clouds of doubt and risk loomed overhead. Upon arriving at Evergreen Wildlife Rehabilitation Center, a rustic facility surrounded by towering evergreens and tranquil streams, Connor was met by Dr. Evelyn Shaw, a compassionate veterinarian with a reputation for her gentle approach to wildlife care. Dr. Shaw's eyes softened as she examined the bear, quickly noting the severe lacerations, the infection beginning to set in, and the sheer exhaustion evident in its stance. "We need to act fast," she murmured, her voice calm yet urgent. "The injuries are extensive, and without prompt treatment, we risk losing this magnificent creature." Working in tandem, Dr. Shaw and her dedicated team carefully transferred the bear onto a padded gurney. Connor watched with bated breath as the animal was whisked away into the sterile yet hopeful confines of the treatment area. In that moment, he felt a bittersweet relief, pride in having saved a life, and sorrow for the pain the bear had endured. The sanctuary's warm light and steady hands promised healing, even as his own heart bore the weight of what he had witnessed. As hours passed, Connor lingered in the center's common area, replaying the day's events in his mind. Every detail, the piercing cries in the forest, the delicate extraction of the trap, and the desperate steps taken through treacherous terrain, remained etched in his memory. He couldn't help but wonder how many others in the wild suffered in silence, trapped by human cruelty and neglect. This thought kindled within him a fierce determination: he would not let this injustice go unanswered. While the medical team worked tirelessly to stabilize the bear, Dr. Shaw updated Connor on its condition. "The bear is responding to treatment," she explained gently, "but we'll need to keep it under close observation for several days. Its body is fighting hard to heal, and we must ensure no further complications arise." Connor nodded, a mixture of hope and lingering concern in his eyes. He vowed then that he would return to monitor the bear's recovery personally, a promise not only to the animal but also to the wild that had captured his heart. In the quiet corridors of Evergreen Wildlife Rehabilitation Center, days turned into a delicate ballet of hope and recovery. After the frantic rescue and urgent medical intervention, the bear, now affectionately nicknamed Thunder by the team for the deep rumble of his growls, was slowly regaining his strength. The once wounded giant, scarred by cruelty in the harsh grip of man-made traps, now lay under the watchful care of Dr. Evelyn Shaw and her dedicated team. Each morning, as the first light filtered through frosted windows and spilled onto the sterile yet nurturing floors of the treatment area, Dr. Shaw meticulously checked Thunder's progress. Bandages were carefully replaced, and powerful antibiotics were administered to stem the spreading infection. The bear's massive body, though still fragile from days of suffering, began to show signs of resilience. His eyes, once filled with raw pain, gradually started to reflect a glimmer of renewed determination. The gentle hum of medical equipment and whispered reassurances of the staff filled the room with a steady pulse of life. Connor Reynolds, the ranger whose daring rescue had set all these events in motion, visited the center daily. Each visit was both a reminder of the harsh realities of the wild and a beacon of hope. He sat quietly in the corner of the common room, reviewing notes with Dr. Shaw, as they discussed Thunder's condition. "He's responding better than we anticipated," Dr. Shaw explained one crisp morning, her voice soft yet confident. "His wounds are closing, and his vital signs have stabilized. It's as if he's tapping into an inner strength we didn't know he possessed." Outside the rehabilitation center, the world continued its timeless rhythm. The dense, evergreen forests of the Olympic Peninsula whispered secrets of endurance and survival, mirroring the recovery taking place within those walls. As Thunder began to stir, a small spark of life ignited in the animal's spirit. His first tentative movements were captured on the center's surveillance cameras, a slow, deliberate raising of his head, a cautious paw reaching out towards a dangling branch placed as an enrichment tool. These moments, though small, were monumental victories in the eyes of everyone present. Connor, with each visit, felt his own burdens lighten. The relentless cruelty he had witnessed in the wild fueled his determination, but now, seeing Thunder's progress, he was reminded that healing is possible even after the deepest of wounds. "It's a miracle every time," he would say quietly, his eyes misting over as he watched Thunder, now more alert and even giving a low, almost grateful growl when greeted by familiar faces. The sanctuary was not merely a place for physical healing, but a refuge where broken spirits found solace. In quiet moments, Connor and Dr. Shaw discussed how the recovery of one wild creature could spark a change in the entire ecosystem, restoring balance, inspiring further rescue efforts, and igniting the collective will to combat the cruelty inflicted upon nature. Thunder's gradual progress was a testament to the power of compassion, the relentless dedication of those who fight for the voiceless, and the resilience of the wild itself. As the days passed, the medical staff planned for Thunder's eventual return to the forest. Rehabilitation was not only about healing his body but also about rebuilding his natural instincts, ensuring he would stand a chance in the unforgiving wilderness. Preparations were made to simulate natural conditions within the enclosure, a carefully constructed area where Thunder could relearn the rhythms of the wild without the interference of human threats. In the quiet hours of one cool evening, with the setting sun painting the sky in hues of amber and crimson, Dr. Shaw assured Connor that Thunder's transformation was complete enough to consider a controlled release. The sense of anticipation was palpable. The journey from agony to renewal had been long, and every victory, no matter how small, resonated deeply with all who had been part of it. The day of the release arrived with a bittersweet blend of anticipation and solemnity. After weeks of tireless care and meticulous rehabilitation, Thunder, the mighty bear whose journey from agony to recovery had inspired every soul at Evergreen Wildlife Rehabilitation Center, was finally ready to embrace his destiny in the wild. As dawn broke over the misty peaks of the Olympic Peninsula, the sanctuary prepared a controlled release area nestled on the edge of a vast, ancient forest. In the early morning chill, Dr. Evelyn Shaw and her dedicated team gathered with Connor Reynolds near the temporary enclosure designed to simulate the natural conditions of the bear's native habitat. The atmosphere was thick with emotion. Every person present understood that today was not just a farewell, but a celebration of resilience and the promise of new beginnings. Thunder, now robust and alert, stirred gently as his enclosure door slowly swung open, revealing a world of untamed beauty beyond. Connor stood by, his eyes fixed on Thunder as the bear hesitated at the threshold. The rehabilitation process had been painstaking, each day marked by the steady, reassuring presence of compassionate hands and hopeful hearts. Now, facing the expanse of the wilderness, Thunder paused as if to gather his strength and bid a silent goodbye to the sanctuary that had nurtured him back to life. Dr. Shaw stepped forward, her voice soft but resolute. "This is your moment, Thunder," she murmured, offering a final piece of encouragement. With each measured step, Thunder moved toward the open forest, his powerful frame silhouetted against the soft glow of the rising sun. For a few heart-stopping seconds, he lingered at the boundary, his deep, soulful eyes locking with those of the team, a silent acknowledgement of the bond they had forged in the midst of pain and healing. Evelyn, who had spent countless hours documenting every detail of Thunder's recovery, felt an overwhelming surge of mixed emotions. The release was a triumphant reminder of nature's indomitable spirit, yet it also marked the end of a chapter in her own life, a chapter defined by compassion, sacrifice, and the deep connection between human and wild. Tears welled in her eyes as she whispered, "Go, Thunder, and reclaim your life." The words carried the weight of gratitude, hope, and a touch of melancholy. As Thunder took his first decisive steps into the wilderness, the forest seemed to come alive. The rustling of leaves, the distant call of birds, and the whisper of the wind through towering cedars created a symphony of nature's welcome. Each sound was a promise of freedom, of life unbound by human constraints. The team watched in silence as Thunder moved further away, his form gradually merging with the dense canopy of the forest. Yet, even as he disappeared from sight, his presence remained, a powerful symbol of survival and renewal. Connor and Dr. Shaw exchanged glances filled with both relief and determination. They knew that Thunder's journey was just beginning. His release would not erase the scars of his past, but it would give him a fighting chance to thrive in the wild. For them, the process was a poignant reminder that sometimes, the greatest act of compassion is to let go, allowing nature to reclaim what is rightfully hers. In that quiet moment, as the morning light grew stronger, the team gathered for a brief debriefing. Their hearts were full, not just with the satisfaction of a successful rescue, but with the understanding that each life saved adds a little more hope to the world. The wilderness had once again proved that it could heal even the deepest wounds, as long as there were people willing to stand up for it. As the seasons turned and the Olympic forests embraced the deep hues of winter, the impact of Thunder's journey continued to reverberate far beyond the boundaries of the release site. For Connor Reynolds, Dr. Evelyn Shaw, and the entire team at Evergreen Wildlife Rehabilitation Center, Thunder's recovery had become a symbol, a living testament to the transformative power of compassion in the face of cruelty. Now, as the frost painted delicate patterns on ancient tree trunks and the quiet hush of snow blanketed the forest floor, they gathered not only to reflect on their triumphs but also to forge a future where every wild creature could be safeguarded. The community that had rallied around Thunder's story grew stronger each day. Local conservation groups, emboldened by the undeniable success of the rescue, began to collaborate more closely with law enforcement, environmental agencies, and even schools to spread awareness about the perils faced by wildlife. Connor took to speaking at public forums, sharing detailed accounts of that fateful day, the echoing cries in the forest, the painstaking rescue, and the bittersweet moment when Thunder took his first steps back into the wild. His stories, captured in vivid photographs and heartfelt reports, resonated deeply with people from all walks of life, sparking a collective call to action for a more compassionate coexistence with nature. Dr. Shaw, on the other hand, dedicated herself to advancing wildlife rehabilitation techniques. With every new method developed and every successful rescue, she hoped to build a legacy that would ensure fewer animals suffered the cruelty of human greed. Her research and hands-on work at the sanctuary not only improved the lives of the wounded but also provided invaluable data to conservationists and policymakers. In her quiet lab, amidst stacks of medical journals and detailed case studies, Dr. Shaw envisioned a future where every injured creature could be returned safely to its natural habitat, free from the threat of further exploitation. At the Evergreen Center, the success of Thunder's recovery sparked a renewed commitment to community outreach. Educational programs were established to teach local children and visitors about the delicate balance of the ecosystem and the vital role each animal plays within it. Field trips, interactive exhibits, and storytelling sessions became regular features, transforming the sanctuary into a living classroom where the wonders of the wild were celebrated and preserved. These efforts, aimed at fostering an enduring bond between humanity and nature, carried a promise that future generations would carry the torch of conservation with empathy and determination. Even as winter's chill deepened, there were moments of unexpected warmth. On a crisp evening, as twilight draped the forest in soft, silver light, Connor walked alone along a snow-covered trail, his breath visible in the cold air. In the distance, a familiar set of tracks, fresh and distinct, led him to a small clearing where the imprint of a massive bear paw lay boldly on the pristine snow. It was a silent message that Thunder was thriving, that the wild had reclaimed its lost son, and that hope was not fleeting but enduring. In that solitary moment, Connor felt a surge of gratitude for the journey they had all undertaken, a journey marked by danger, compassion, and relentless perseverance. The trials they had faced, the sacrifices made, and the victories won had woven a tapestry of resilience that would forever be a part of the Olympic wilderness. The legacy of their work was not measured merely in the recovery of one animal, but in the collective awakening of a community to the urgent need for a kinder, more sustainable relationship with nature. As our journey together comes to a close, let this story be a gentle reminder that even in the midst of uncertainty and hardship, love endures and hope shines through. Every shared moment, every act of kindness, and every small victory reminds us that our hearts are capable of healing and growing. In the quiet whispers of nature and the tender gestures of those who care, we find the strength to overcome challenges and to embrace a future filled with promise. Take a moment to reflect on the beauty that surrounds you, the warmth of a sunrise, the soft murmur of a caring word, and the comforting embrace of a shared smile. These moments are the true treasures of life, lighting our path through the darkness and inspiring us to become beacons of compassion. Let love guide you, and may each day be an opportunity to nurture the connections that enrich our lives. Thank you for joining us on this heartfelt journey. Your support and engagement mean the world to us, and together, we can build a community grounded in hope and kindness. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring stories and uplifting messages that remind us all of the power of love and renewal. Subscribe now and be part of our growing family. Together, we can create a brighter, more compassionate world.